Cole right at your service on this latest installment. I'll be joined by Maurice Jones-Drew and our Super Bowl champion Rod Woodson in due time. With that being said, welcome inside Total Access. And we begin this edition on a somber note. That's because Bob McNair, founder, chairman, and CEO of the Houston Texans, passing away today at 81 years old. This was McNair's 17th season at the helm for Houston. Now, during his tenure, 4 playoff appearances, a quartet of division titles. McNair also serving as the league's chairman of the NFL's Finance Committee. Now, an outpouring of emotion coming from social media. The Houston Texans making the news public information where they said, and I quote, "It is with deep sadness that we announce Houston Texans founder, senior chairman, and chief executive officer and philanthropist Robert C. McNair passed away peacefully in Houston today with his loving wife Janice and his family by his side." With that being said, let's now turn our attention to our NFL Network media insider, Ian Rappaport, as well as former Houston Texans general manager Charlie Casserly. And Ian, we'll begin with you. What more can you tell us today about the passing of McNair?
Well, unfortunately, this news did not catch the Texans by surprise. They have been preparing for this really for the last week and a half. My understanding is he has been obviously in very difficult condition, failing health because of his battle with skin cancer, multiple different forms of skin cancer. And this is something I'd say about a week ago, the Texans and those who know Bob McNair very well have been, in fact, preparing for it. And his visibility in NFL circles has diminished as his sickness grew over the last couple weeks and months, has kind of unfortunately faded to the shadows here as far as NFL owners go. His wife, Janice, now becomes the controlling owner of the Houston Texans, and his son, Cal, who is vice chairman, is expected to run the team as he really has been for the last several months as Bob McNair's health has been failing. And, of course, Charlie, his legacy speaks for itself, both in becoming the owner of the Texans and essentially putting an NFL team in Houston. They played their first game in 2002, leading them to 4 playoff appearances, and then the $20 million each year that they gave in the Robert and Janice Foundation. Obviously a multifaceted man here that we're all mourning.
And Charlie, you were his first general manager when he began as the owner of the Houston Texans 17 years ago. What was your personal relationship with Bob McNair like?
Well, we had a great relationship. You know, one thing to understand, this guy was a great football fan first. He was an original season ticket holder of the Houston Oilers in 1960. So he'd gone back a long way with football. We had the same vision for the team. We wanted to run a first-class organization, one that was active in the community, first class on the field. Everything was going to be done the right way. First day on the job, we sat down and he showed me the practice plan facilities, and I said, "This isn't going to work." He says, we're going to have to redo this whole thing. He says, "Well, tell me what to do and how we're going to get it done." And he tore it up, and we built the best facility in the National Football League. Example, there had never been an indoor football practice facility in the state of Texas. There's a lot now. We were the first ones to do it, and that's a credit to Bob McNair. So first-class facility, wanted to do things right.
Yeah, a tough day for the Houston Texans, the passing of Bob McNair at 81 years old. Ian and Charlie, thank you very much for the time. We appreciate it.
All right.
Now, here's a statement from the Texans head coach Bill O'Brien in light of the passing of Mr. McNair. Mr. McNair was an amazing man who made tremendous contributions to the NFL and to the city of Houston. He was a very caring, thoughtful, and passionate individual. As much as he cared about winning, I think the thing I remember most about Mr. McNair is the way he cared about the players. I know how much giving back meant to him and his loyalty and generosity to the city of Houston, and our community will never be forgotten. My thoughts and prayers are with Janice and the McNair family. Time now to reflect on the life and times of Bob McNair.
Bob McNair welcomed everyone with a warm smile and a firm handshake, whether you were President of the United States or an ordinary fan.
How you doing? How are you? Hey, Chris. How you doing? Good to see you. Nice to have you in Houston.
We love being here.
Well, good.
Houston was McNair's adopted home. It's where he started one of the nation's largest energy companies and the Texans NFL franchise.
Bob, on behalf of the entire National Football League, I want to thank you, the entire Houston community, and above all, the fans of the Houston Texans for bringing NFL
football and NFL is an opportunity for a city to really get excited about something in which you have a common purpose, and that is to have an exciting team that's competitive and hopefully a team that's going to be winning.
Caught! Touchdown, Andre Johnson!
I think if all the owners were as good as Bob McNair, NFL would be even better. He's a class guy. He runs a wonderful organization. He brought a great stadium to the Houston environment here.
McNair's efforts in building Reliant Stadium helped bring the Super Bowl to the city of Houston, even as his own Texans team emerged as perennial playoff contenders.
Way to go. Way to go. The courage you've shown and the character you've shown sticking together is a credit to you and to this city. And I want to tell you how much we appreciate the way you performed.
Handoff, Foster cuts back, 10, 5, and dives into the end zone.
I love Houston, and this is a great community, and it's been very good to my wife and me and our family. The way we present our team and the way we play will have a lot to do with the type of support that we have. Make it one of our traditions that we have a strong work ethic, that we never quit, that we're not complainers and whiners, that we play by the rules and we'll win playing by the rules. My father said, your word's your bond. Another thing that he always told me was you can't go wrong by doing what's right. So when you reach a difficult decision, instead of worrying about the implications of it, if you just do what you think is right, you're not going to go wrong.
Bob McNair's choices were good for the league and pivotal to the ongoing success of pro football in the Lone Star State.
As we told you earlier, Bob McNair, the founder, chairman, and CEO of the Houston Texans, the only owner that the Houston Texans have known. His list of accomplishments clearly lengthy, and Steve Weiss joining us now in light of the passing of Mr. McNair. And Steve, tough blow to the entire organization, no doubt about that. But when it comes to Mr. McNair's legacy, what will it be?
There's a lot of kind of a mixed legacy about it. First off, he brought the NFL back to Houston, so he's beloved down there for bringing the Texans down there to one of the most football crazy environments that there is in the NFL. Incredibly philanthropic and a highly influential owner. I mean, Bob McNair had tremendous sway in that ownership group and to get the NFL to enact certain policies and to get owners on board with that. But as we know, the last couple of years, he was embroiled in controversy when he made some statements regarding the national anthem issues and players protesting police brutality and things during the playing of the national anthem, when he said we cannot let the inmates run the asylum. Okay, that triggered a lot of bad feelings around the league. Players from his own team responded by kneeling for the national anthem. Bob McNair came back and said he was unapologetic for making those remarks. So a lot of people are going to hang on to that. But at the same time, keep in mind, his longtime general manager, Rick Smith, was black. His longtime communications director, Kevin Cooper, is black. His current communications director, Amy Palcic, is a woman. I mean, it's this incredible kind of complex personality that he showed publicly because he was so philanthropic and gave so much and cared so much about diversity and certain issues. So to have that kind of lingering over what he did towards the tail end of his career, I mean, some people that's going to be the first thing that comes to mind about Bob McNair, but other people are also going to realize what he did for the NFL and the city of Houston in very positive ways.
31 other owners in the National Football League. How is he viewed amongst those owners?
Yeah, a lot of respect for Bob McNair. Again, he's very, very influential. He's up there with Jerry Jones and Robert Kraft and Arthur Blank and Jeffrey Lurie is just here right there in terms of being able to pull sway with a lot of other owners. Now, he's principled, I'll put it in that way, with a lot of things he wanted to handle, and that didn't necessarily mesh well with all the other owners. But at the same time, you know, it's just, you know, he carried tremendous sway. And you think about it, now that we've lost Mr. McNair, Dan Rooney, Paul Allen, Tom Benson. So we're losing owners, and then Jerry Richardson of the Carolina Panthers had to sell our team. So there is an era of NFL ownership now that's going to be changing hands. As Ian reported, Cal McNair, Bob's son, will probably continue to run the team. He's been groomed for several years to do so because Mr. McNair, of course, has been battling cancer for a long time. But again, the NFL is going to be transitioning with the loss of such a prestigious owner in Bob McNair.
Yeah, clearly a change of power after 17 years seeing Mr. McNair at the helm. And at 81, Bob McNair passing away today. Thank you, Steve Weich. Appreciate the time. Now, Tom Brady, as you may recall, banging his knee up in the loss to the Titans in Week 10. Now, Brady with an early exit in that contest, which opened the door for Brian Hoyer to finish in the loss. Now, Brady limited in practice Wednesday and Friday, a no-go, but Sunday, he's going to have a safety blanket back. Rob Gronkowski, and maybe or maybe not, Gronk didn't catch passes from Tom in practice today. Let's listen.
Did you catch any passes from Tom Brady today?
Yeah. Didn't tell you where, though. Could have been on the field. Could have been in the locker room.
Was it on the field?
I don't know. That was a trick question, though. Yeah, by asking me that. Yeah, I forgot.
Curious case of Patriots practice. Mike Giardi with the latest on Tom Brady.
For the first time since the 2015-2016 season, Tom Brady did not practice on a Friday before a Sunday game. But it wasn't the knee that he showed up on the injury report with on Wednesday that kept him out. It was an illness that he's picked up over the last 24 hours. Maybe too much turkey for Tom Brady. Sources are adamant here, though, that he will play Sunday in Jersey against the Jets. And he'll be joined in the lineup by Rob Gronkowski, the tight end, declaring himself ready to go. Said back, ankle, didn't matter what it is. He's feeling good now and looking forward to playing his first game in 27 days.
Thank you, Tom. Let's move along because Packers tight end Jimmy Graham, after suffering a thumb fracture Thursday night in the loss to Seattle, giving Packers fans a reason for hope. Graham practicing Thursday despite the injury, and head coach Mike McCarthy said Graham caught the ball fine during practice. As for those Minnesota Vikings, how about we make the move to Eagan, Minnesota, to check in with Tom Pelissero, who has the very latest. Tom, go.
Running back Dalvin Cook told me the Vikings had one of their better weeks of practice as they prepare for a Sunday night showdown against the Packers that is huge for both teams' playoff hopes. Vikings coach Mike Zimmer downplayed the magnitude, though, telling players, according to Cook, just be us and turn it loose. These NFC North rivals met in Week 2 at Lambeau Field, a game best remembered for a place-kicking meltdown, but also one in which Kirk Cousins and the Vikings offense put up 480 yards. Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers, meanwhile, was wearing a bulky brace that day with limited mobility as he returned from a knee injury. This time, Minnesota is placing a lot of emphasis on keeping Rodgers inside the pocket. Should have help from the return of linebacker Anthony Barr, who told me he had no setbacks with his bulky hamstring. He feels 100% ready to go.
All right. Thank you, Tom Pelissero. And, gentlemen, we heard what Tom had to say. Huge implications for both of these teams right here. So when it comes to getting the win, who's it going to be, Rod, when the dust settles?
Well, you talk about getting the win. So if you're talking about, I said that the Minnesota Vikings a couple weeks ago are going to win the North. So I'm going to stick with the Vikings just for the fact that they're 5-4-1. And that defense is starting to play really good football. Daniel Hunter, he got his 11.5 sacks, only second to Aaron Donald in the National Football League. They have 32 sacks on the season as a defense. So they're going to get after Aaron Rodgers. They're going to make it uncomfortable for Aaron Rodgers. And I believe at the end of the day, it's going to come down for them to win the North. That last game when they got to play Chicago in Chicago.
Okay, that Vikings defense starting to round out, looking like they did a season ago. So, MJD, who do you think gets the win here?
I'm going to go with the Vikings as well, but I'm going to have to talk to James Jones a little bit because I know he's a Packers fan. He's a big Packer. So, James, where's my single? Come in a little closer. The Packers haven't won a game on the road all year, so what makes you think they'll do it now? And that's my concern. You have to lean on your running game. They haven't done that. They've tried to throw it to Aaron Rodgers. Their defense just hasn't had the best. Now, you're talking about Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen, two guys who can get it done.
Solid.
With Dalvin Cook coming back?
Yeah.
I mean, if they can get this run game going, you kind of saw what Stephon was able to do in Chicago late in the game. Adam Thielen's had his days. If they can get this offense back rolling, it's going to be tough to do it in that dome where it's loud.
Okay.
I mean, they fill it out and they do their job. So to be able to get a tie in Green Bay, you'll be able to, I think, find a way to get a victory at home. I got the Vikings.
All right, the Vikings, they have looked good as of late. They've won 4 of their last 6, but the road ahead, well, 4 of those next 6 games against teams that are playing at a 500 clip or better. So Minnesota, your hands, they are certainly full coming down that back stretch. And speaking of